Welcome everyone to a foundational journey into the world of Microsoft Excel. In today's digital age, the ability to work with data is no longer a niche skill, but a fundamental requirement across countless professions and personal projects. Excel stands as the undisputed champion in this domain, a powerful tool designed not just for organizing lists, but for performing complex analysis and uncovering the compelling stories hidden within your data. It provides the perfect platform to analyze information, track trends, and ultimately gain insightful perspectives that can drive decision-making. Whether you are a student, a small business owner, or a professional looking to enhance your skill set, understanding Excel is a critical step toward data literacy and efficiency in your daily tasks. For many beginners, however, launching Excel for the first time can feel like stepping into the cockpit of a jumbo jet without a pilot's manual. The screen is a vast grid of cells, and above it sits a ribbon packed with a seemingly endless array of menus, buttons, and icons. This initial complexity can be quite intimidating, leading to a common feeling of being overwhelmed. Questions immediately arise. What do all these different options do? Where do I even begin? This initial barrier is often what prevents many from harnessing the true potential of the software, leaving them to use only a fraction of its capabilities, or avoiding it altogether in favor of simpler, less powerful alternatives. The primary goal of this tutorial is to demystify this powerful application and transform that initial sense of confusion into one of confidence and competence. We will systematically break down the essential components of Excel, making sense of the interface and its core functionalities. This guide is specifically designed for the absolute beginner, someone who may have never opened a spreadsheet before or has only used it for the most basic data entry. We are going to navigate through the clutter together, focusing on the tools you truly need to get started and build a solid foundation for more advanced learning down the road. You'll soon see that behind the myriad of buttons lies a logical and intuitive system. In the next 15 minutes, we aim to equip you with the knowledge and skills necessary to start understanding the story behind your data. We will move beyond simple data entry and explore how to format, analyze, and visualize information effectively. This video will serve as your practical, step-by-step guide, ensuring you can begin to make sense of the various menus and functions. By the end of our session, you will not only be comfortable navigating the Excel environment, but will also be capable of performing meaningful analysis, turning raw numbers into clear, actionable insights that can inform your projects and presentations. Our journey begins with the very first step, getting access to Excel itself. Many are unaware that this powerful software is accessible in more than one way, each with its own set of advantages. We will explore the two primary methods for getting started. The first is the web-based version of Excel, a fantastic and free option that allows you to jump straight into a new spreadsheet directly from your internet browser. This cloud-based platform is incredibly convenient and ensures you always have access to the latest features, as new updates often roll out to the web version first, making it a dynamic and accessible entry point for everyone. Alternatively, for those who require more robust offline capabilities, there is the traditional desktop application. We will discuss how you can install Excel on your personal computer as part of the Microsoft 365 subscription. While this option requires a purchase, it provides the full, comprehensive suite of Excel's features and is the standard in most professional environments. We'll touch upon the benefits of having the desktop app, which helps support content creators like this channel and guide you through the initial launch process. Upon opening Excel for the first time, you will land on the Start page, which is your central hub for beginning any new project or revisiting previous work. From the Start page, we will delve into creating a new workbook and understanding the fundamental structure of a spreadsheet. You'll learn that the grid of rectangles isn't just a random layout, but a highly organized system of cells, columns, and rows. We will explain the coordinate system, how columns are identified by letters and rows by numbers, and how their intersection creates a unique cell address, like E7. This basic understanding is the cornerstone of everything you will do in Excel, from entering data to writing complex formulas. We will also cover simple but essential navigation techniques, such as zooming in and out to make your workspace more comfortable for your eyes. Finally, This introduction will set the stage for the hands-on portion of our tutorial, where we will begin entering real data using a practical example. Tracking cookie sales for the Kevin Cookie Company. We will walk through typing in headers for our data, such as sales and date, and demonstrate various methods for moving between cells using your mouse and keyboard shortcuts, like the Tab and Enter keys. This initial data entry exercise will serve as the foundation for all subsequent lessons, including data formatting, analysis, and visualization. By starting with a clear and relatable example, we will ensure that the concepts you learn are not just abstract, but are immediately applicable to real-world scenarios. Before we can delve into the intricacies of spreadsheets, the first crucial step is to access the Excel application itself. Fortunately, there are two primary pathways you can take to get started, each catering to different needs and preferences. The first and most accessible method is through your web browser. By simply navigating to the web address excel.new, you can instantly launch a fully functional version of Excel online. To use this service, you will need to log in with a Microsoft account, but the access itself is entirely free. This web-based version is a fantastic starting point for anyone, as it drops you directly into a brand new blank spreadsheet without requiring any software installation, making it incredibly convenient and quick to use. The online version of Excel has evolved significantly over the years, and now includes the vast majority of the functionalities that you would find in its desktop counterpart. For beginners and even many intermediate users, Excel on the web provides all the necessary tools for data entry, formatting, analysis, and visualization. A distinct advantage of the web version is that Microsoft often rolls out its newest features and updates to the online platform first. This means that by using Excel in your browser, you are often at the cutting edge of its development, able to experiment with the latest tools as soon as they become available. It's an excellent, no-cost way to familiarize yourself with the Excel environment. The second method involves installing the Excel desktop application directly onto your computer. This is the more traditional approach and is typically part of a Microsoft 365 subscription, which you would need to purchase. While this path requires a financial commitment, it offers the most comprehensive and powerful version of Excel. The desktop application is renowned for its robust performance, especially when handling very large datasets, and offers a few advanced features that may not be available on the web. If you plan to work extensively with Excel in a professional or academic setting where offline access is critical, investing in Microsoft 365 and the desktop app is highly recommended. This also helps support educational content creators who partner with Microsoft. Ultimately, the choice between the web version and the desktop application depends on your specific circumstances. For quick tasks, collaborative projects, or simply learning the ropes without any financial outlay, the web version is an unbeatable option. It provides a seamless and modern experience that is more than sufficient for most everyday needs. However, for power users, professionals who need consistent offline access, or those working with massive and complex spreadsheets, the desktop application remains the industry standard. For this tutorial, the functionalities we will cover are present in both versions, so you can comfortably follow along regardless of which platform you choose to use for your journey into data analysis. Once you launch Excel, whether on the web or through the desktop application, the first screen you will encounter is the Start page. This page serves as your central command center, a welcoming gateway from which you can embark on your spreadsheet tasks. It is thoughtfully designed to help you get to work quickly and efficiently. In the top left-hand corner, you will find the most prominent option blank workbook. This is your go-to button for creating a new, empty spreadsheet from scratch. In just a moment, we will click this to begin our practical demonstration. The Start page is structured to provide clear, immediate options for both new and returning users, streamlining the initial steps of any project. To the right of the blank workbook option, you'll notice a diverse gallery of templates. These are pre-designed spreadsheets tailored for specific purposes, such as creating a budget, tracking a project, or making a calendar. It is well worth your time to browse through these templates, as they can save you a significant amount of effort. Instead of building a complex layout from the ground up, You might find that one of these templates already meets your needs or provides a fantastic starting point that you can customize. They are not only practical tools, but also serve as excellent learning resources, showcasing effective ways to structure and format data for different scenarios. Below the templates and the option for a new workbook, the Start page provides easy access to your recent work. This section lists the Excel files you have worked on lately, allowing you to jump back into a project with a single click. This feature is incredibly useful for maintaining workflow and avoiding the hassle of navigating through your computer's file system. The list is typically ordered by the most recently accessed files, ensuring that your current projects are always at your fingertips. Above this list, you'll also find a search bar, which allows you to look for a specific workbook by name if it doesn't appear in your immediate recents. The overall design of the Start page is intuitive, aiming to minimize the time between opening the application and getting productive work done. The layout clearly separates the three main starting actions, creating something new from a blank slate, using a pre-built template to accelerate your work, or continuing with an existing project from your recent files list. For our purposes, we are going to focus on building our skills from the ground up. Therefore, let's direct our attention back to the top left-hand corner and proceed by clicking on the blank new workbook option. This action will transition us from the Start page into the main Excel interface, where our hands-on learning will truly begin. Upon clicking the blank new workbook button, you are immediately dropped into the main Excel environment. At first glance, the screen might seem a bit overwhelming, presenting a vast expanse of rectangles that fill the entire workspace. These individual rectangles are the fundamental building blocks of any spreadsheet, and they are officially referred to as cells. Each cell is a container where you can input data, whether it's text, numbers, or formulas. Understanding the organization of these cells is the first step toward mastering the Excel grid. The entire grid is structured logically to ensure that every single cell has a unique and identifiable location, which is critical for referencing data accurately in your work. Looking across the top of the worksheet, you will see a series of letters like A, B, C, and so on. These letters represent the columns. A column is a vertical stack of cells that extends from the top to the very bottom of the sheet. Conversely, running down the left-hand side of the screen, you will see a sequence of numbers, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. These numbers represent the rows. A row is a horizontal line of cells that stretches from the far left to the far right of the sheet. This combination of lettered columns and numbered rows creates a powerful grid system, similar to the coordinate system on a map, which allows for precise navigation and data manipulation. The intersection of a specific column and a specific row defines a unique cell. For example, the cell located where column E meets row 7 is known as cell E7. This naming convention is universal in Excel. You always start with the column letter followed by the row number. To confirm which cell you have selected, you can look at the name box, located in the top left-hand corner just above the grid. It will display the address of the currently active cell, such as E7. While you can technically change the name of a cell for convenience, for this beginner's tutorial, we will stick with the default naming system to maintain clarity and consistency. To make your workspace more comfortable, especially if you find the default text size a bit small, you can easily zoom in and out. In the bottom right-hand corner of the Excel window, you will find a zoom slider. You can click the plus icon to zoom in or the minus icon to zoom out. A handy keyboard shortcut for this is to hold down the Ctrl key on your keyboard and simultaneously scroll your mouse wheel up to zoom in or down to zoom out. My own eyes aren't what they used to be, so adjusting the zoom level is one of the first things I do. With our new workbook open and the view adjusted, we are now ready to start entering some data. When you open a new Excel workbook, you see a grid made up of cells. These are the building blocks where you enter data. Columns are labeled with letters, A, B, C, rows with numbers, 1, 2, 3, and each cell is identified by its column and row, like E7. This grid system lets you organize, reference, and calculate data precisely. Mastering it is the foundation of using Excel. Use the zoom slider in the bottom right or Ctrl plus mouse wheel to adjust your view for comfort. Click into cell A1 to start entering data. Type a header like sales, then use tab or arrow keys to move between cells quickly. Efficient navigation and clear headers make your spreadsheets easier to use and understand. With headers in place, enter your first data. Type January 2023 under date, then use the fill handle to drag and auto-complete months through November. Excel's AutoFill saves time by recognizing patterns, so you don't have to type each month manually. Next, move to the sales column and start entering your monthly sales numbers. Enter your sales figures for each month, then select the range and click the comma style button on the Home tab to add thousands separators for clarity. Remove unnecessary decimal places with the decrease decimal button. Your data is now clean and easy to read. Simple formatting makes your numbers instantly more understandable. Add a notes column if you need to explain data, like low January sales. Adjust column width by double-clicking the column border for AutoFit. To tidy up, select the whole sheet and AutoFit all columns at once, or hide columns you don't need visible by right-clicking the header and choosing Hide. These quick adjustments keep your spreadsheet organized and professional. While we have our basic data entered, there are many ways to refine its appearance to make it more professional and easier to understand. A fantastic pro tip for accessing comprehensive formatting options is to use a keyboard shortcut. By pressing Ctrl+1 on your keyboard, you can open the Format Cells dialog box. This powerful menu gives you complete control over every aspect of how a cell's content is displayed, from number styles and alignment to fonts and borders. If you're interested in mastering Excel shortcut keys, which can dramatically speed up your workflow, I have included a helpful link in the description below. Looking over at my table now, I believe it would be beneficial to provide some context for why our January sales figure was so exceptionally low. This kind of annotation can be crucial for anyone reviewing the data. To add this information, I will click into cell C1 and type a new header called Notes. Then, directly below it in cell C2, I will type my brief explanation. New Year's resolution depresses sales. You will immediately see that this text is too long to fit within column C, causing it to spill over into the adjacent column. This text overflow is very common in Excel, and thankfully, it's simple to resolve. To ensure all content fits neatly within its column, I need to adjust the width of column C. I can do this by moving my cursor to the vertical line between column C and D headers. When positioned correctly, it will transform into a double-headed arrow. I can simply double-click my left mouse button. This triggers the AutoFit feature, which automatically resizes the column to accommodate the widest content, making my note fully visible and contained. This AutoFit feature is incredibly efficient for tidying up your spreadsheet's appearance. If you have multiple columns that need resizing, you don't have to adjust them one by one. You can click the small triangle icon in the top left corner of the worksheet to select the entire sheet. Once everything is selected, a single double click on any column divider will auto-fit all columns at once. On second thought, however, I'm not sure I need this notes column visible. Management should already know this information. I think I will hide it instead of deleting it completely. Deciding that the notes column contains useful but non-essential information, I would rather hide it than permanently delete it. This way, the data is still preserved within the workbook in case someone has questions later on. To hide the column, I will move my cursor over the header for column C and right-click. This action opens a context-sensitive menu that presents a variety of actions I can perform on the selected column. Near the bottom of this menu, there is an option labeled Hide. I will click on this and column C will instantly disappear from my view. The data is not gone. It is simply concealed on the sheet, which is indicated by the slight gap between the B and D column headers. If I ever need to make that information visible again, the process is just as straightforward. To unhide the column, I would first need to select the columns on either side of the hidden one, in this case, columns B and D. I can do this by clicking on the header for column B, holding down the mouse button, and dragging over to include column D. With both columns highlighted, I can then right-click on either of the selected headers. From the context menu that appears, I will now see an option to unhide. Clicking this will restore the hidden column C to its original position. This same hide and unhide functionality works exactly the same way for rows as well, giving you full control over your data's visibility. As I continue to review the layout of my data, I actually think the table would be more logical and easier to read if the date was shown first, followed by the corresponding sales figures. The good news is that rearranging columns in Excel is incredibly easy to do without any cutting and pasting. First, I will highlight all of the data in the sales column, which is currently column A. Then, I will press and hold the Shift key on my keyboard. While holding Shift, I will move my mouse cursor to the very edge of the highlighted selection. You'll notice that my cursor changes into a four-headed arrow icon, indicating that I can now move the selection. With the Shift key still held down, I'll press my left mouse button and drag the entire column to its new desired position. I want to place it to the right of the date column, so I will drag it over until a green line appears between columns B and C, and then I will release the mouse button. Just like that, the sales column has been moved, and the date column is now the first column in my dataset. However, after moving it, I can see that the sales header is partially cut off because the column is not wide enough. I'll quickly use the AutoFit trick again by double-clicking the line between the A and B headers to expand the column so it fits all the contents perfectly. That's exactly how I want it to look. Now that my data is arranged and sized correctly, I think it would be nice to apply some professional formatting to make the entire set of data look more like a cohesive table. This will not only improve its visual appeal, but also unlock some powerful data handling features. To do this, I will navigate to the Insert tab located on the Excel ribbon at the top of the screen. Within this tab, one of the first options you'll see in the Tables group is the Table button. I will click on that. This opens a small dialog box asking me to confirm the range of my data and to specify if my data has headers. Excel is usually very smart about automatically identifying the range of your data, and in this case, it has correctly selected all of my sales information from A1 to B12. There is also a checkbox option that says, My table has headers. Since my first row contains the labels, date and sales, this is indeed true, so I will make sure that this box is checked. Leaving this checked is important as it tells Excel to treat that first row differently from the rest of the data. After confirming the settings, I will click the OK button. Instantly, my plain range of data is transformed into a beautifully formatted table. Look at that. I now have what are called banded rows, where every other row is shaded with a different color. This alternating pattern makes the table significantly easier to read across, as it helps the eye follow each line of data from left to right without getting lost. When you create a table, a new Table Design tab also appears on the ribbon. Over on the right-hand side of this tab, you will find a gallery of different table styles with various color schemes and designs that you can choose from. You can easily click through them to find a look that you prefer, but for now, I will stick with the default blue style, as it looks clean and professional. The benefits of using an official Excel table go far beyond just the look and feel. Within the Table Design tab, there are several checkbox options that allow you to toggle different table elements. For example, right here, I can check the box for what's called a total row. When I select this, Excel automatically adds a new row at the very bottom of my table. By default, it has calculated the sum of my sales data, displaying the total right there. If I click on that total, a small drop-down arrow appears, allowing me to easily change the calculation to an average, count, max, or min, providing instant analysis without writing a single formula. Now that our data is well organized and formatted within an official Excel table, I want to start analyzing it to uncover some insights. Luckily, Excel provides several incredibly easy ways to do this, some of which don't even require you to write a single formula. First, let's say I want to quickly find out what our total sales were for the first quarter of the year. This would cover the months of January, February, and March. To do this, I can simply use my mouse to highlight the 3 cells containing the sales figures for those months. This is a simple selection action, just clicking and dragging over the relevant numbers in the sales column. Once these 3 cells are highlighted, I can direct my attention to the very bottom of the Excel window to a section called the status bar. This bar provides quick, on-the-fly calculations for any numerical data you have selected. Down at the bottom right, you will see that Excel has automatically calculated the sum of the selected cells. Here, I can see that our total sales for Q1 were about 12,000. It also shows the average and the count of the selected cells. This is a fantastic feature for getting quick answers without having to add any new formulas or content to your worksheet. It's an instant analysis tool that is always available at your fingertips. For a slightly more powerful, yet still incredibly user-friendly analysis, we can use a built-in feature called Analyze Data. With my data table selected, I can go up to the Home tab on the ribbon, and over on the right-hand side, I'll click on the Analyze Data button. This action opens up a new pane on the right side of my screen. The truly remarkable thing about this feature is that it uses natural language processing. This means I can simply type a question about my data in plain English, and Excel will do its best to understand my query and provide back relevant insights, often in the form of a chart or a calculated value. Let's try it out with the same question we had before. In the input box at the top of the pane, I will ask, what were total sales in Q1? And I'll specify that I want to see this as a table. After I press enter, Excel processes my request, and right there in the pane, it presents a small table showing the sum of sales for those first 3 months, confirming the 12,000 figure we saw earlier. This makes complex analysis remarkably easy and accessible, as I didn't even have to know which function or formula to use to get my answer. It's like having a data analyst built directly into the software. I'll close out of this pane for now to explore another method. Of course, while the automated tools are fantastic, we can also perform these calculations ourselves directly on the worksheet. This gives us more control and allows us to create permanent, dynamic calculations that update as our data changes. I'll click down into an empty cell below my table to calculate the Q1 total manually. To let Excel know that we are about to enter a formula and not just text or a number, we must always start by typing an equal sign. This is the universal signal in Excel that a calculation is about to begin. Once the equal sign is in place, I can start building my formula. The most straightforward way to create a formula is to reference the cells I want to use in my calculation. I'll click into cell B2, which contains the sales for January, and you'll see that B2 now appears in my formula. I want to add this value to the sales for February, so I will type a plus sign on my keyboard. Next, I will click on cell B3, which is then added to my formula. Finally, I will type another plus sign and click on cell B4 for March's sales. My complete formula now reads equal sign B2 plus B3 plus B4. When I press the Enter key, Excel performs the calculation, and there too, you see the result is 12,000. Along with addition, you can use the same method for subtraction, multiplication, and division. That method of clicking each individual cell was a little cumbersome, especially if I wanted to add up a much larger range of numbers. A more efficient and common approach is to use something called a function. A function is a pre-built formula that performs a specific calculation. One of the most popular and useful functions is sum. Again, I'll start by typing an equal sign in a blank cell. Then I will type the function name, sum, followed by an opening parenthesis. The function now needs to know which numbers it should sum up, and these inputs are called arguments. Instead of clicking each cell one by one, I can simply click and drag to highlight the entire range of cells I want to add. I will highlight cells B2 through B4. You will see that my formula now contains B2, B4, which tells the sum function to include everything from B2 to B4. I will then type a closing parenthesis to complete the function and press enter. Once again, we see that the sum is 12,000. Excel has hundreds of different functions available for all sorts of calculations, from simple math to complex financial and statistical analysis. You can explore them by clicking on the Formulas tab at the top, which is well worth looking through to see what you can do. As we've been going through this tutorial, you might have noticed the small downward-pointing arrows that appeared next to our headers for date and sales as soon as we converted our data into an official Excel table. These arrows are powerful tools for sorting and filtering your data, allowing you to quickly rearrange and analyze your information directly within the table. To see what they do, I will first click on one of the headers, and then I will navigate to the Data tab on the ribbon. Over here you can see the Filter button is highlighted, which indicates that these filter arrows are active. You can toggle them on or off from here, but let's leave them on to explore their functionality. Now, let's click on the arrow next to the sales header. This action opens up a context menu with several options. At the top, I have the ability to sort my data. For example, I can choose to sort from largest to smallest. When I select this, the entire table instantly rearranges itself to show the month with the highest sales, which was December, at the very top. Following this, the rest of the months are listed in descending order of sales, with the lowest performing month, January, now at the very bottom. This is an incredibly fast way to identify your best and worst performers without any manual analysis or complex formulas. But what if I want to return the table to its original chronological order? That's just as simple. I will now click on the filter arrow next to the date header. From this menu, I will select the option to sort from oldest to newest. Immediately, the table reverts to its initial state, with January at the top and December at the bottom. We are right back to where we were. This demonstrates how easily you can switch between different views of your data to answer different questions. The sorting feature is dynamic and non-destructive, meaning you can always return to your original order without any hassle. Along with sorting, these arrows also allow you to filter your data, which means you can temporarily hide rows that you don't want to see. Let's say I only want to look at the sales data for the first quarter. I will click on the date filter arrow again. Below the sorting options, I can see a list of all the months with checkboxes next to them. First, I will click the Select All checkbox to deselect all of the dates. Then, I will manually check the boxes for just January, February, and March. After clicking OK, my table now only displays the data for the first quarter. Notice how the total row at the bottom has also updated to show me the sum for just these 3 months, which is 12,000. It's another great way to calculate that total. To remove the filter and see all of our data again, I can simply click on the filter icon, which has now changed to indicate a filter is active, and select the clear filter option from the menu. Now, let's look at another powerful visualization tool. Of course, we know that December was a great month for sales and January was not so good, but just glancing at the full table of numbers, it's a little hard to tell how the other months compare very quickly. To make these differences stand out visually, I am going to highlight all of the cells containing our sales figures, from the first month to the last. This selection will define the range for our next action. With the sales data highlighted, I will go to the Home tab on the ribbon. Right in the center, there is a feature called Conditional Formatting. This incredible tool allows us to automatically format cells based on a condition or the underlying data within them. Clicking on this button reveals a drop-down menu with all sorts of different options. You can highlight cells based on specific rules, show data bars that act like in-cell bar charts, or apply color scales. You can even define your own complex rules for a truly customized view of your data. This feature helps to turn a plain table of numbers into a dynamic and insightful visual report. For this particular dataset, I think a color scale would work very well. Under the color scales option, I have several choices. I'm going to try the one that applies red for lower numbers and green for higher numbers, with shades of yellow for the values in between. As soon as I select this option, my sales column is instantly transformed. The colors are applied automatically based on the value in each cell relative to the others in the selection. This simple visual cue makes it incredibly easy to interpret the data at a single glance, without needing to read each individual number carefully. Now, when I look at this data, my eyes are immediately drawn to the deep green of December's sales, confirming that it was by far the best month of the year for us. Similarly, the bright red of January's sales figure makes it stand out as the lowest point. The other months are shaded in varying hues of yellow and light green, providing a quick, intuitive guide to their performance. This is the power of conditional formatting. It helps you and your audience to very quickly identify trends, outliers, and patterns in your data that might otherwise be hidden in a sea of numbers, making your analysis both faster and more effective. Up to this point, we have been looking at all of our data in a tabular format, which is excellent for organization and detailed analysis. However, sometimes a picture, or in this case a chart, is truly worth 1,000 words. Visual representations of data can often reveal trends, patterns, and comparisons much more effectively and immediately than a simple table of numbers. Excel makes the process of converting your data into a professional-looking chart incredibly straightforward. To begin creating a chart from our cookie sales data, we will first navigate to the Insert tab, located on the main ribbon at the top of the Excel window. This tab houses all the tools for adding new elements to your worksheet. Once on the Insert tab, you will see a large section right in the center that is dedicated entirely to charts. Here, you'll find a wide variety of different chart types you can choose from, including bar charts, pie charts, and many other options. While you can certainly select a specific type of chart yourself, Excel offers a fantastic feature called Recommended Charts that takes the guesswork out of the process. This tool analyzes your selected data and suggests the chart types that it determines will best represent your information. I will click on the Recommended Charts button to see what Excel suggests for our monthly sales data. It's a great starting point, especially for beginners. After clicking the button, a dialog box appears. The Recommended Charts tab is already selected, and here Excel has analyzed our 2 columns of data, dates and sales, and suggests that a line chart would work very well. A line chart is indeed an excellent choice for this type of data, as it is perfect for showing a trend over a continuous period, like time. It will allow us to clearly see the rise and fall of our cookie sales throughout the year. I agree with Excel's recommendation, so I will select the line chart option and then click the OK button at the bottom of the dialog box to proceed. Instantly, Excel inserts a new chart object directly onto our worksheet. This chart visually represents all the data from our table, with the months displayed along the horizontal axis, the x-axis, and the sales figures along the vertical axis, the y-axis. Now we can visually see the story of our sales year. The line clearly shows the initial dip in January, the steady growth through the middle of the year, and the dramatic peak in December. This graphical representation is significantly easier and faster to pass than scanning through the raw numbers in the table, making the data's narrative immediately apparent to anyone who looks at it. The newly inserted chart already provides a great visual summary, but Excel also gives us a wealth of tools to customize its appearance and make it even more informative. As soon as the chart is created and selected, you will notice that 2 new contextual tabs appear on the ribbon at the top of the screen: Chart Design and Format. These tabs contain all sorts of different tools that we can use to modify and enhance the way this chart looks and the information it presents. You can change everything from the color scheme and layout to adding specific elements like data labels or axis titles, giving you full control over the final presentation. For instance, on the Chart Design tab, you can explore a gallery of different chart styles. These are preset combinations of colors, line styles, and background effects that can instantly change the entire look and feel of your chart with a single click. You can also use the Add Chart Element button to add or remove specific components. Perhaps you want to add a more descriptive title to the chart, or label the vertical axis as sales in USD to provide more context. These customizations help transform a basic chart into a polished, professional-grade visual that is ready for a report or presentation. Furthermore, you can add data labels directly to the line itself, so the viewer doesn't have to guess the exact sales value for each month by looking at the axis. This can be done through the Add Chart Element menu, or often by clicking a small plus icon that appears next to the selected chart. Making these small adjustments can significantly improve the clarity and impact of your visualization. The goal is to make the chart as self-explanatory as possible, allowing your audience to understand the key takeaways without needing to refer back to the original data table. A well-designed chart should stand on its own and tell a clear, concise story. Creating charts is a fundamental skill in Excel that bridges the gap between raw data and actionable insight. While we've only scratched the surface of what's possible, you can see how quickly you can go from a simple table of numbers to a compelling visual narrative. We've covered quite a bit of content so far, from basic data entry to formatting and now charting. we are going to finish up our tutorial by looking at one of the most powerful analysis tools available in Excel, a feature that allows you to analyze data just by dragging and dropping your mouse, the pivot table. We have now covered a significant amount of content, building from the ground up to create a well-structured and visually appealing report on our cookie sales. To conclude our practical demonstration, we are going to explore one of the most powerful and celebrated analysis tools available within the entire Excel suite, the pivot table. This feature is renowned for its ability to let you summarize, analyze, and explore large amounts of data with incredible speed and flexibility. The best part is that you can perform this complex analysis simply by dragging and dropping your mouse without needing to write any complex formulas. It's a true game changer for anyone who works with data and wants to uncover deeper insights quickly. To get started, the first step is to ensure that a cell within our data table is selected. I'll click anywhere inside our table of cookie sales data over on the left-hand side. With the table active, I will then navigate back up to the Insert tab on the ribbon. At the far left of this tab, you will find the option to insert a pivot table. Let's click on that button. This action will open a new dialog box that prompts us for a couple of key pieces of information. It asks us to confirm the data source and where we would like to place the new pivot table report. In the dialog box, you'll see that Excel has automatically identified our data table as the source, which is correct. It then asks where we want to place the pivot table. We have the choice to put it on the existing worksheet, or the more common and cleaner approach, to place it on a brand new worksheet. Let's stick with the default option to place it on a new worksheet, which helps keep our raw data separate from our analysis. After confirming these settings, I will click on the OK button. Excel immediately creates a new sheet in our workbook, which you can see from the tabs at the bottom. We're now in Sheet 2, while our original data remains untouched on Sheet 1. This new worksheet contains a placeholder for our pivot table on the left and a pivot table fields pane on the right-hand side. This pane is the command center for our analysis. You will notice that within this pane, we have a list of items at the top: date and sales. You might recognize these immediately, as they are the headers from the different columns that we had in our original data table. Below this list are 4 different areas: filters, columns, rows, and values, which are the drop zones where we will place these fields to build our report. Now let's see just how easy it is to start analyzing our data with this incredible tool. Now, check out the magic of what you can do with pivot tables. To begin our analysis, I will press and hold my left mouse button on the sales field from the list at the top of the pivot table fields pane. I will then drag that field down into the values area at the bottom right. You typically place a field into the values area if you want to perform a calculation on it, like summing, counting, or averaging. As soon as I release the mouse button, the pivot table on the left immediately updates. I'll zoom in so you can see it more clearly, and there it is, the sum of sales, which is almost 100,000. That's the total number of sales we had for the entire year, calculated instantly. One of the neat things about the values area is the flexibility it offers. Here, I can right-click on the calculated number in the pivot table and go down to the option Summarize Values By. Currently, it is set to sum, but what if I wanted to see the average sales per month over the course of the year? I can simply select average from the list. The pivot table recalculates, and now it shows that we sold about 8,200 or so cookies per month on average. This ability to switch calculations on the fly is incredibly powerful. For now, I'll right-click again, and let's go back to showing the sum of our sales. Over on the right-hand side in the fields pane, I can take another item, like our date field, and drag that down into the rows area. As soon as I do this, the pivot table expands. Now, it displays a structure that looks very similar to our original data on Sheet 1, where we have each date listed in a row with the corresponding sales figure next to it. But with a pivot table, I can easily change this view. For instance, I can drag the date field out of the rows area and instead drop it into the columns area. Now, the table is restructured to show all the dates going across the columns. You can very quickly visualize your data in many different ways, and it doesn't require much effort at all to do that. I'll pull these fields out and let's drag the date field back into the rows area to return to our familiar layout. Now, here is one more really neat thing you can do. we see the sum of sales for each month. But let's say I want to know what percentage of our total annual sales each month contributed. I can right-click on one of the sales value cells and go down to the Show Values As option. From the submenu, I will select % of grand total. The pivot table instantly recalculates all the values. And now I can see that January made up about 1% of our sales for the year, while December made up a massive 24%. Pivot tables are such a powerful tool for this kind of dynamic analysis. And with that, we have reached the end of this introductory tutorial on Microsoft Excel. That was a really quick overview, covering a wide range of topics from the absolute basics of navigating the interface to the powerful analytical capabilities of pivot tables. Hopefully, this session has provided you with enough foundational knowledge and confidence to start exploring Excel on your own. The key to mastering any new skill is practice, and we hope this walkthrough has given you the essential building blocks you need to start building that muscle in data analysis. Remember, every expert was once a beginner, and you have taken the crucial first step on your path to proficiency with this indispensable tool. To continue your learning journey and build upon the concepts we have discussed today, there are numerous resources available to you. I have included a specially curated playlist with all of my free in-depth videos on YouTube, which you can find linked in the description down below. This playlist covers many of the features we touched upon, such as pivot tables, in much greater detail and also introduces more advanced topics. It is an excellent next step for anyone looking to deepen their understanding and expand their skill set at their own pace. Consistent exposure and practice are what will transform your initial understanding into true expertise and fluency with the software. If you are interested in a more structured and comprehensive way of learning about Excel, I also have a full course available that you can access. You can click on the link that has appeared in the top right-hand corner of the video. This course is designed to walk you through all of the fundamentals of Excel in a systematic step-by-step manner, ensuring you don't miss any critical concepts along the way. It's a great option for those who prefer a guided curriculum to help them progress from a beginner to a confident intermediate user, ready to tackle complex data challenges in any professional or academic setting. Thank you for joining me today. I truly hope you found this tutorial valuable and that it has demystified Excel for you. The ability to effectively analyze data is a superpower in today's world, and you are now well on your way to developing it. To watch more videos like this one, packed with practical tips and clear instructions on a variety of software and productivity tools, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support allows us to continue creating free educational content for everyone. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.